I always believed loyalty meant something. That if you gave someone your heart, stayed honest, and treated them with respect, they'd do the same. I wasn't flashy, I wasn't reckless. I was just me. Steady. Dependable. Maybe even boring to some. My girlfriend used to smile when I brought her coffee in the mornings, or when I stayed up late listening to her vent about work. But lately, those smiles started fading. The eye rolls began replacing the thank yous. And then one night, out of nowhere, she laughed and said, "You're too nice. I like guys with more edge, bad boys." She said it like a joke, but her tone cut deep. At first, I was stunned. I didn't yell, I didn't beg. I just nodded. Said, "Okay." But inside, something snapped. Not out of anger, but clarity. See, while I'd been giving her loyalty, she'd been texting someone behind my back. A guy she thought I didn't know about. A guy she claimed was exciting, dangerous, fun. What she didn't know? He had a wife. A real one. Not a girlfriend. A woman who, unlike my now ex, would probably care about what kind of man she was really married to. So, I gathered the screenshots. The messages. The late-night calls. And I sent them, politely, respectfully, to the wife. No drama. No threats. Just the truth. You'd think that would be the end of it, right? But what happened next? It unraveled into something far bigger than I expected. My ex wasn't the only one keeping secrets. And by exposing one betrayal, I opened a door I never meant to walk through, one that would show me just how bad things could really get. Her name was Lily. The wife. I found her Instagram through a tagged post my girlfriend had liked months ago, back when she was still pretending everything was fine. Lily looked kind, the type of woman who remembered birthdays and sent thank you notes. I stared at her photo for a long time before sending the message. My hands were shaking, not because I was scared, but because I knew I was about to shatter someone else's world the way mine had just been shattered. I didn't say much. Just attached the screenshots, mentioned how long the affair had been going on, and apologized for having to be the one to bring it to her. I almost didn't hit send. Almost. But then I remembered the way my girlfriend laughed when she said I was too nice, like that was something to be ashamed of. That moment made it easy. What I didn't expect was how quickly Lily responded. Within 20 minutes, she replied with just 3 words. "Thank you? Call?" And that's where everything started to shift. We talked for nearly an hour. Lily wasn't angry at me, she was calm, composed, and oddly understanding. She told me this wasn't the first time her husband had crossed the line, but it was the first time someone ever came forward with proof. She asked for more details, and I gave them, feeling both guilty and relieved. But here's the strange part. A few days later, I noticed something weird. My ex suddenly stopped posting online. Her number was disconnected. And when I casually asked one of her friends what happened, all she said was, "She's dealing with some stuff." What kind of stuff? No one would tell me. But something told me this wasn't over. Not even close. I started getting this strange feeling in my gut, like something wasn't adding up. My ex disappearing off the grid wasn't surprising after what I did, but the silence felt heavy. Too quiet. Even the mutual friends we had stopped replying to my texts, like they didn't want to get involved. One night, curiosity got the better of me. I drove past her apartment. The lights were off. Mail piling up at the door. No car in the lot. She was gone. Meanwhile, Lily kept in touch. We weren't friends, exactly, but there was this odd connection forming. She updated me about her situation, said she confronted her husband and kicked him out. She sounded strong on the phone, but there were pauses between her words. Like she was trying not to let something slip. Like she knew more than she was saying. Then came the anonymous text. Blocked number. No name. Just a message that said, "You think you're the only one with secrets?" At first I thought it was just some prank. But then another message followed. "You should have left it alone." That was when I realized this wasn't just about some messy breakup. There were layers here. Things I wasn't supposed to know, people I wasn't supposed to cross. I thought I was doing the right thing by being honest, exposing betrayal. But apparently, not everyone values the truth. The worst part? I started second-guessing everything. Was Lily being honest with me? Was my ex just a pawn in something bigger? I began to feel watched. Cars I didn't recognize parked across my building. Random calls that went silent when I answered. I thought this was just a personal mess between 3 people. But something about it all felt way too organized, too calculated. I started sleeping with the lights on. Not because I was scared exactly, but because I didn't know who or what I was dealing with anymore. The text kept coming, always from different numbers, always vague but threatening enough to keep me on edge. One night, I came home to find my front door slightly open. I knew I had locked it that morning. Nothing was taken, nothing broken, just a glass of water sitting on my kitchen counter. Half full. Like someone wanted me to know they'd been there. That same week, Lily stopped responding. I called, messaged, even tried emailing her, but there was nothing. Her social media accounts vanished, gone like they'd never existed. The last message I had from her said, "If anything happens, remember what I told you. Look deeper." But what did that mean? I went back to the screenshots I had sent her, thinking maybe I missed something. One thread caught my eye. A message from my ex to her. "Bad boy." Timestamped weeks before I found out. She wrote, "Don't worry, he won't find out. He's too soft." But then, just below it, was a line I hadn't noticed before. "If things go wrong, we'll blame it on him anyway." On me. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just about cheating. This was some kind of setup. Maybe it had always been. Suddenly, every weird moment, every silence, every stranger's glance, it all started to make sense. Or at least, to feel like it could be part of something darker. I thought I was the one exposing the truth. But now it felt like I'd walked into a trap someone else had laid long before I ever knew there was a game being played. And the worst part? I still didn't know who was really pulling the strings. 2 days after I noticed the message about blaming me, I got a knock at my door. Not loud, not aggressive, just a polite, deliberate knock that somehow felt more unsettling than a bang. When I opened it, 2 men in plain clothes stood there. One flashed a badge. "We'd like to ask you a few questions," he said calmly. "About Lily and your ex-girlfriend." My stomach dropped. They weren't there about the cheating. They were investigating a missing persons report. Lily had vanished. No trace, no note, no witnesses. And guess who was the last person she'd contacted before going completely silent? Me. I invited them in, trying to stay calm, but every word out of my mouth felt like it was being weighed. I told them the truth, that I had exposed the affair, that I shared proof with Lily, and that I hadn't heard from her since. They asked me about threats, and I hesitated before admitting the texts, the strange car parked outside, the door left open. One of the officers nodded, like it confirmed something they already suspected. And then came the question that sent a chill through my entire body. "Did you know Lily was being investigated for fraud?" I froze. Fraud? Apparently, Lily had been connected to a quiet financial probe involving multiple false identities, wire transfers, and offshore accounts. My ex's name was mentioned once in an early report, but nothing solid. Now I was starting to think the affair wasn't even about romance. What if I had exposed more than cheating? What if I had stumbled onto something criminal? Something dangerous? And the worst part was, I was now tied to all of it. Not as a bystander, but as the one who unknowingly set it all off. The pieces finally came together when I received a manila envelope at my office. No return address, just my name written in block letters. Inside were printed documents, photos, and a USB drive. What I saw left me frozen. Bank statements linked to offshore accounts, fake IDs, and a scanned lease agreement with my ex's name listed right next to Lily's under an alias. They weren't strangers. They were partners. Every doubt I had came crashing down in that moment. The affair was a cover. I was just a distraction, someone easy to manipulate. Someone too nice to ever suspect he was being used. Their plan was simple: stage a fake affair, get me involved emotionally, and when the fraud heat got too close, pin it all on the clueless boyfriend. But something must have gone wrong. Maybe Lily got cold feet. Maybe my ex panicked. Either way, Lily disappeared, and now I had evidence that could unravel everything. I gave the files to the investigators. They were stunned. Turns out, the USB had audio recordings too. One clip caught my ex on a phone call saying, "If he talks, we're done. He's not as soft as we thought." That was enough. Arrests were made a week later. My ex was caught trying to board a flight out of state. She looked shocked when she saw me waiting with the officers. I didn't say a word. But just when I thought it was over, I got one last text, this time from a new number, no name, no threats. Just 6 chilling words. Lily was never working alone. Watch yourself. I looked around. A car drove slowly past my street. The windows were tinted. The story was supposed to be over. But maybe it was only just beginning. After that last message, I decided I was done living in fear. I turned over everything, every file, message, call log, to the authorities. They assured me they were expanding the investigation, and that Lily's connections ran deeper than anyone expected. I didn't need all the details. I just wanted to move on. My ex took a plea deal. She gave up names, locations, and contacts in exchange for a reduced sentence. Turns out, the affair had only been a small piece of a much bigger scheme: money laundering, stolen identities, shell companies across multiple states. And I had been nothing more than a pawn to keep eyes off the real operation. A useful fool. But in the end, being too nice saved me. Because I didn't lash out. I didn't go down to their level. I stayed calm, kept records, and trusted the truth to do its job. And it did. I've moved to a new apartment now. Got a new number. Different job. I keep things quiet, stay away from drama, and trust my gut a lot more. People say revenge is sweet, but honestly, peace is better. Knowing I did the right thing, even when I was being mocked for it, gave me closure they'll never have. Sometimes I still wonder about Lily, if she ever really felt bad for dragging me into all of it. Or if she's still out there, playing someone else. But that's not my problem anymore. I walked through the fire and made it out. So, the next time someone calls you too nice, just smile. Being nice isn't weakness, it's a strength. And sometimes, the quietest person in the room is the one holding all the cards. And in the end, I played mine exactly.